I'm currently working on planning a new full car audio system upgrade. Part of this system upgrade is adding a new head unit, 2 amplifiers, 6 speakers, and 2 subwoofers. For all this gear to work, we of course need to wire it. But how should we connect a 2 amplifier system? What distribution block pieces do we need, and what wire sizes? In this video, I'm going to teach you the math and process behind planning an electrical system layout so you can better plan for your next car audio system to get great performance and results. So we've switched over to our webcam view here, and the first thing I want to do is I want to show you guys the total system plan for this project. For this project, we're going to be using a Sony XAV-AX5500 for our source unit, and that is going to be feeding signal to 2 different amplifiers. We've got an audio control D-61200, so that has the DSP built in. We've also got an audio control LC-1.800 for the subwoofers. You can see that we're using 6 total speakers. We're doing a 2-way active system up front in the vehicle. We're doing coaxials in the rear doors of the vehicle, and then of course in the back trunk area we are doing the subs. The focus of this video though obviously is this area right here. We need to determine exactly what wiring we're going to use. We need to determine what distribution pieces we need. We need much more of a focused end goal rather than just these lines going between the parts. To get started with our electrical plan, I recommend that we first start with a very basic layout of all of our gear, kind of like that previous picture I showed you, but it can be even more simple. I have my iPad here, and that's what you're seeing up here on screen. You're seeing this initial layout. You don't have to use an iPad though. You could also just use simple pencil and paper and just label what each of the items is. The next thing we want to draw in is just our very basic wire connections. Don't worry about wire size yet. Don't worry about how long the wire is. Let's keep it really simple and just draw in the connections. So first things first, here I am focusing on the actual power connections. So you can see that we have a positive lead coming off of the battery. We then have a fuse block because I know that I always have to have an inline fuse along with that main power lead. Next, we know that we're going to need 2 different wires going to our amplifiers, not just one. So we're going to break that 1 wire into 2 wires with a distribution block. And then those 2 wires both go to our amplifiers. Now we also know that we need to have 2 ground wires, obviously each attached to our amplifiers. So I've drawn those in, and those will have a distribution block as well. And that distribution block will be grounded. That's what that little symbol there means. That means it's connected to the frame or ground of the vehicle, which is also what the battery is connected to on its negative post. Now don't forget that at this phase, we're not worried about any of the specifics. We're just drawing in general connections. Next connections I want to focus on are the signals that are going to be provided to the amplifiers. As a quick side note, on distribution blocks, I always like to leave the option for a future upgrade and have another output if need be. So I just drew in these 2 lines on each of these to remind myself that I want to have at least 1 input wire and 3 output wires on whatever distribution blocks I choose. For sending signal from the head unit to the amplifier, we're going to be using 3 different wires. We want to be able to retain front and rear fade since we're going to have a front set of speakers and then the rear coaxial speakers. So that's why we have this wire here, that's number 1 for the front, and then we have this wire here, that's number 2 for the rear. The 3rd wire there, it's actually only a mono output from our head unit, so we need to remember that because we'll want to get a Y splitter, so let's make a quick note. So we've got that note in there. That wire is going to split into 2, so it's going to be a pair, and it's going to go on that 3rd set of inputs on the amp. Now this is something that's kind of unique to this system, the fact that we have the subwoofer signal coming in to this amplifier here. The reason for that is that amplifier has the DSP built into it, which means we're going to be connecting to this amplifier using a computer and doing all of our tuning, and this amplifier gives us the ability to then have a tuned DSP signal, subwoofer signal coming out of it to go to the subwoofer amp. That's just one small example of why it's worth drawing things out on these kind of projects and planning, because if you've done a bunch of 2 amplifier systems in the past, you would have thought, I only need these 3 RCA wires here. You may have forgotten about this 4th wire here to connect those 2 amplifier signals that is very critical. The final connections we need to draw out are those for our speakers. And that was easy enough, so I drew in each of those different speaker wire connections. We just want those drawn in for later when we are estimating our speaker wire length. So now that we have our full full layout here, let's move on to doing calculations. Now really quick, before we move on, I do want to say a quick thank you to our monthly channel sponsor, New Concepts. New Concepts is the company that I'll actually be using to supply all of the gear and different distribution accessories for this build. I really like their distribution pieces. These are from the basic line that you can see here on screen. What I like about these is they're really compact, which makes them easy to use in an install, and for lack of a better term, they are basic, which makes them perfect because I can use them not only for the power side, I can also use them for the ground side using these links. This block here allows you to have 2 inputs going to 2 different outputs. There's also another option that allows you to do 2 inputs to 3 outputs. Lots of different flexibility. You can check out more details at the links down in the video description. Let's move on to the good stuff, some juicy calculations. The first equation that we're going to need here is that current, which is I, equals power over voltage. For power, we want to use our value in watts RMS, so this case it's going to be 1200 plus 800 on the subwoofer amplifier there. That's 2000 watts, and our voltage, V, is going to be the system voltage when everything's running, so this is going to be 14.4 volts. So if we do this calculation, 2000 divided by 14.4, that gives us about 139 amps. What that means is in order for our amplifiers to create exactly 2000 watts of output, they would need 139 amps of current. But the problem is no amplifier is 100% efficient. These amplifiers in their testing actually performed really well. They're about 80% efficient, but we need to take that into account. The way that we can do that is we divide our 139 amps by the efficiency value, which is 0.8 because it's 80%, and that gives us about 174 amps. Now I talked about this a little bit in a previous video and a lot of you guys were confused. You have to remember it's always going to take more current coming into the amplifier than what the amplifier could possibly produce coming out. And that's because we're always going to have some losses within the amplifier. So in order to actually produce 2000 watts of output, we would probably need around 174 amps of current coming in. Now the next thing to consider here is the alternator in the vehicle. That's the power plant of the vehicle while it's running. That's what's charging everything. And I actually looked up the alternator, the stock alternator on this vehicle, and the output is only 140 amps. So if the alternator is only able to provide at maximum 140 amps and we have everything else in the vehicle using the alternator, how could we ever have 174 amps for the musical system? Well, here's what's important to understand. With this top formula here, where we got that 174, we were assuming that the amplifiers are playing at their maximum output level. And I know what you guys are thinking, Mark, I crank up the volume, I want the maximum output level. The thing you have to understand here is this is literally if you were playing only a sine wave through each of these amplifiers. The actuality is you're playing music. So music is not constant output. Music is dynamic, so there's going to be short periods where it might be full output, but there's also short periods where it's not full output. The reason I bring this up is there's no exact calculation that we can do. We need to do some sort of estimation based on what type of musical listener we are. If we are going to be using this for a competition type system where you would be playing strictly sine waves to do an SPL reading, you're going to need to assume that you're going to need a lot more of this current, where if you're more of an everyday listener, you're going to need less. We'll talk about how to do that calculation in just a second here, but as far as sizing our wire, I do want to focus on using this worst case scenario type value. That way we know that our wire is good to go. So we have our value of 174 amps, which we need to be able to go through these sections of wire here prior to the distribution block. And we know that we also need to match up that same wire size on the ground side because this is a full circuit. So we always want to match whatever's occurring on our positive side on our ground side. So this is the product line of wire that I want to use from New Concepts. This is their Colossus Flex line, and you can see they have their chart here. And I know that my maximum length of wire, it's not going to be anywhere near 20 feet, but at least we'll know we'll be safe. And if we remember, we need 174 amps. So we can see that 4 gauge wouldn't be large enough because the max it can handle is up to 150 amps right here. We need more than that. So if we go to 0 gauge on those parts of the runs, we can handle up to 375 amps, so more than enough current. We can do that same calculation as before in order to determine these legs here that are going to each of the amplifiers. So for our multi-channel amplifier, I did 1200 divided by 14.4, and that gave me 83 amps. and then I did 800 divided by 14.4 on the sub amp, and that gave me 55 amps. So for the multi-channel amp, I would have to use the 4-gauge wire because 83 amps is obviously more than 60, and then on the subwoofer amplifier, I could technically get away with using 8-gauge wire, but just to be safe, because we are pretty close to that 60 amp value with 55 amps, I'm going to use 4-gauge wire on that amp as well. Now we can shift back to what I was talking about earlier. How do we know if our charging system on our vehicle is large enough? I'm going to give you two different ways to estimate. For a bass heavy listener, we're going to use a value of 50%, and for an average listener, we're going to use a value of 25%. All you're going to do with these values is you're going to multiply them by that calculated value that we got earlier. So for bass heavy, 174 times 50% gives me 87 amps. 87 amps is within the capability of our stock alternator, but it is starting to get to that point where I'd be a little concerned because remember, the alternator is running everything else in the system, but this bass heavy, that really applies to somebody that is just constantly just laying down the bass tracks, a lot of real bass heavy music. So in that case, you might want to start considering some electrical upgrades. If you were planning on competing with this system, first of all, you would probably have a lot larger subwoofer amplifiers, and in that case, yes, you would definitely want to consider upgrading that alternator. But for this application, we of course want to be able to crank it up from time to time and be able to enjoy it, but this is more of an average listener application, so we're going to use the value of 25%, which means we're going to be using, at most, on music, around 43.5 amps. Again, all of these values are just estimates. It's really the best that you can do. You have to just estimate and make a prediction. If you do find, obviously, that you're ending up with electrical issues, you can always upgrade your electrical in the future. Just be careful that you're always monitoring your voltage going into your amplifiers so that you don't run them at too low of a voltage. So now we can pick our distribution blocks really quick. We know that we need something that will give us a 0-gauge input and at least 2 4-gauge outputs. And in my case, I'd always like having that third output if possible. So it looks like this distribution block right here will work just perfect. This actually has 2 0-gauge inputs, and it also gives us 3 different outputs with a max size of 4-gauge. And we can use this block as both a power distribution block, like I mentioned earlier, or a ground distribution block with the links. Now, in order to pick our fuse sizes, we would use these same formulas that I've already been explaining in this video, but I do have a full video detailing how to do the fuses. You can check it out up in the corner of the screen. We also need an inline fuse holder, so I picked this guy right here because again, this gives us 0-gauge input and output. I've added these 3 different components. I've got the distribution block there and there, along with the inline fuse, and I also made a note that I need that positive battery terminal in order to connect to the battery. So we've got everything for the power supply and return figured out. We've got all of our signal wires figured out because those are simple enough from before. You just need to know how many connections you have. The last thing we got to determine here is what speaker wire size we should be using. Now, calculations for speaker wire can be a little bit more advanced, so I'm going to give you some generic rules of thumb that usually work 99% of the time for car audio based on the lengths of wire that you usually need. Now, if you're doing anything really high power for speakers, like up to 150 watts, in that case, you're going to start to switch from being in that 14-gauge wire territory to maybe needing to use 12-gauge wire. But for the most part, you're going to be able to get by with using 14-gauge. As far as subwoofers go, you're going to want to use 12-gauge until you start getting to the point that you might be over 1,000 watts or so. Then you're going to want to start looking at 10-gauge and 8-gauge speaker wire. If this is something that you guys would like to see me go into on a future video, let me know. The last thing we need to do is we need to know the quantity of wire that we need. We need to know how long each of these runs is. And a good way to do that is just go out to the vehicle and you can use a piece of string, or you can just estimate with a tape measure. And then I like to usually add 10 to 20% to that final calculation for all of your total lengths. That way you make sure that you have enough wire. If you've taken your time creating this diagram, you could use it as a visual guide as you're going through and taking each of these measurements. You could say that this run right here from the tweeter to the amplifier in the back of the trunk, that needs to be 17 feet long. This one has to go to the other side of the vehicle, so it needs to be 25 feet. You could write each of those in, total everything up, and be good to go. So, question of the episode for you. How many systems have you installed? There's no shame if you've never installed a system before, or if you've done thousands before and you're watching this video. I just want to get a feel for it and have a better understanding of those of you that are out there watching. I do have quite a few other videos that go into electrical systems for car audio. If you guys want to check out more about that, you can check out these links here on screen. A thank you to New Concepts for being a monthly channel sponsor. Learn more about the basic line of distribution accessories at the link down in the description. Also, a thank you to Mike, Ron, Ali, Jerry, Marcos, William, and the rest of the Patreon membership team. A big thanks to all these guys for making these videos possible, and thank you for watching.